Hello again, 4th grade. Welcome back to Math with Miss Lichtel. Today we're going to be going over math lesson 527, which is on comparing fractions greater than 1 using common numerators and common denominators. Now we're only going to go over one problem, and know that there's a few different ways that you can solve for it, but I'm just going to give you one. So we have the two fractions, 4 3/4 as well as 20 3/5. Now, I want you to think to yourself, why is it challenging to compare these fractions the way they are? Think to yourself for a moment, why might this be difficult? What kind of challenges would you face with this? And how could you tackle it? Well, hopefully you were thinking that, we have a mixed fraction and an improper fraction. It's really difficult to compare the two. So right off the bat, for me, I think we should change 20 3/5 into a mixed fraction. So if you went over 526, you were able to review how we could change improper fractions into mixed fractions. So 20 3/5, we're going to think about how many wholes are in 20 3/5. And, 20 3/5, we know that our unit is fifths. Okay, so one whole is going to be 5/5. 2 wholes is 10/5. 3 wholes, 15/5. 4 wholes, 20/5. 5 wholes, 25/5. Now, we only have 23/5, so we don't have 5 wholes. We have 4 wholes. So 4 wholes would be 20/5. And then left over, we have 3/5. Okay. So this is really going to help us make this into a mixed fraction. We knew that 20/5 was 4 wholes. And then we have 3/5 left over. Okay. So now we are going to be comparing 4 3/4 and 4 3/5. So just for the sake of space, I'm going to erase my board. So now I have 4 3/4, and I'm comparing it to 4 3/5. Okay. So a little easier to compare now. We see that we have the same whole numbers in the mixed fractions, but the fractions, they have different denominators, so it's a little difficult to compare. So comparing fractions is going to be difficult unless you have a common numerator or a common denominator. In this case, we have common numerators, but the denominators, that's still making it a little difficult for us to compare. So we could make these denominators the same. Common denominators is the term that we use. So I want you to think about how we can make these fractions with a common denominator. The first thing we want to do is we want to think of a common multiple of 5 and of 4. So that's numbers that both 5 and 4 can multiply to. So we could find multiples by skip counting. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, so on. Same thing with 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So we want to think of the smallest common multiple. What I like to do is I like to take one of them, and I'm going to skip count. I'm going to find my multiples. And then if I find a multiple that 5 can also be multiplied into, then I know that I found my common multiple. Okay, so 4, 8, 5 doesn't go into 8, 12, no, 16, 5 doesn't go into 16, 20, 5 also goes into 20. So, you guys, we're just going to take down our 3/4 and our 3/5. These are the only ones we're going to work with right now. So 3/4 and 3/5. To make a common denominator, again, we need a common multiple. And our common multiple is 20. How do we get How can we turn this denominator of 4 into a denominator of 20? We can multiply by 5 over 5. Remember, to get an equivalent fraction, we multiply the same number by the numerator and the denominator. So to get a common denominator of 20, we're multiplying by 5 over 5. And just for now, I'm going to erase this so I have more space. 3/4 times 5/5. That gives us 3 times 5 is 15. And 4 times 5 is 20. Okay. So we know that 3/4 is equivalent to 15/20. We now want to look at 3/5 and make that fraction a fraction with a denominator of 20. So 3/5, we can make 5 a denominator of 20 by multiplying by 4. Okay. We have to multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number in order to get an equivalent fraction, which is what we're trying to do here. So 3 times 4 gives us 12. 5 times 4 gives us 20. Okay. So now we have 15/20 and 12/20. Oh, there we go. 15/20 and 12/20. Now that these have the same denominator, it's a lot easier to compare the two. Let's see. So 3/4 was the same as 15/20. 3/5 was the same as 12/20. So we know that 15/20 is greater. That tells us that 4 3/4 is greater than 4 3/5. Creating a common denominator is a great way to help you to compare fractions. There you have it, my friends. We will be completing some problem set numbers for 527, and it is going to be numbers 1B, 2B, 3C, and 3J. Feel free to rewatch this video if you need some more help. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time.